When's the last time you helped someone at work and it actually made things worse? Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm here with Usama for Bits. Usama, you mentioned something to me recently that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. You called it the false rescue triangle. And it really reminded me of something that happened at work recently. Before we get into it, can you walk us through what the false rescue triangle is?
Sure. Hello, Sam. Hello, everyone. Think of the triangle. On the top is the persecutor. On the bottom right is the victim. On the bottom left is the rescuer. And in this example that I'm going to give, it kind of like puts all these parts together. You're driving, you have your friend or someone you care about next to you, and that friend says, "I'm hungry." And in here, you immediately jump. You're the rescuer. They're the victim. They're hungry. And you say, well, how about we go and eat Italian at a very nice Italian restaurant that I know? And they agree. And now you're going there, you're eating, you're enjoying yourself. You've rescued your friend or your partner. And then your partner says, "I don't like this food." And now you move from a rescuer to victim, and they move from victim to persecutor because you feel wronged. You feel like I've did all this work and I brought you here to a place that I really like, and here you go saying you hate the food. So you get angry. And now you move up to persecutor and you say, "How dare you? After all the work I did, bringing you here, bringing you to a place that I like, how dare you say you don't like the food?" And now they go back and become the victim again.
It's like an endless cycle. I've done this too, actually. So we have recording sessions for this podcast, and I was trying to figure out how many prep meetings to schedule with Usama before the recordings. And I thought, he's the CEO, he's super busy. I don't want to take up too much of his time. So I kept the number of the meetings pretty low. I was protecting him, except for he didn't ask me to do that. Nobody asked me to do that. And Usama actually ended up going in and scheduling more meetings himself. And he was like, "Why aren't we meeting enough?"
And I have to say, like, just going back and remembering those moments when I saw that we weren't doing enough meetings in order to get things done. I mean, at the end of the day, these episodes, they take 8 to 9 hours to produce. And I felt like maybe Sam doesn't care. I felt like the victim. So when she was rescuing me, I did feel like the victim. I was like, either she doesn't care or it's not important to her or whatever it is.
You were a victim of my rescuing.
Of a lot of things, but I didn't like it. And so I scheduled the meeting because I was concerned about the videos. Are we going to be able to do them in time? Are we going to be paying enough attention to them? So in that example, it was just another live example where I did feel that Sam was victimizing me.
And I really thought I was being considerate, just to be clear. So I have a couple other examples of how this could show up in the workplace. Let's say for the first one, the softened feedback. Let's say a junior on your team gets critical feedback from a client. You intercept that feedback and soften it before passing it on, protecting them. But then they make the same mistake again and the client escalates. Now you're being asked why it wasn't addressed the first time because you tried to shield someone and ended up holding the blame. And you could also put their job at risk.
I would agree. That example is dear to my heart because it happens all the time. I manage a lot of people in IT, and I manage a lot of different IT departments. And whenever somebody does something like that, where I try or they try to soften the blow, it actually negatively impacts that individual's career. I would say that you really have to avoid doing that. The nice thing about handing people the truth or telling people the truth as is without you trying to soften it is it allows them to learn from that experience and grow from it. And when you take that away, you really take away from their chance to grow and chance to build a beautiful career. Don't do it. Really just don't do that.
I have one more example, the presentation takeover. So your colleague seems nervous before a big meeting, so you jump in during the presentation to help fill the gaps. But then they go quiet, and after the meeting, they're cold with you. You feel confused because you helped them out, but they felt like you didn't trust them in front of the room.
And it could happen in many ways. I remember myself, like in events that we're hosting, where somebody who's presenting, who practiced it, kind of like fumbles, and it's okay. Like there's a lot of things that can be done, like somebody could just stand up and ask a question or explain it. There's a lot of ways to do it without having to go in and rescue this person and continue the presentation on their behalf. It's not good. I see it a lot of times in events where somebody steps in and tries to take over. It doesn't look good. Although they have very good intentions, they're trying to help. It doesn't look good. It takes away from that other person's experience. And it's okay to fumble the first time, the second time. You learn over time. And I don't know, when I started doing presentations, I was really bad at it. And I think I had to present in a very sucky way many times before I got better. And I don't know if there's a better option. You just learn as you go.
Practice makes perfect. Okay, so before we close, what are 3 things anyone can use to protect themselves from becoming a part of this scenario?
Well, I think for me specifically, what I watch out for is if I put more effort into something than the other person, that's the first sign of a false rescue. The second sign is if I feel like I am a rescuer and they're the victim, that's when you kind of step out. And it's easy to think of the following. There's no victim without a rescuer, and there's no rescuer without a victim. And if you did consider yourself a rescuer and the victim became the persecutor, realize what's happening, realize that this is a false rescue triangle, and exit it. It's very easy to exit by just saying, you know what? We're in the false rescue triangle. Let me exit it. You're not a victim. I'm not a rescuer. Why don't we just reset and do something else?
And don't double down. Don't justify the help that you gave. Name it to yourself. You offered something that wasn't asked for, and you're making it their problem. The resentment stops there. You don't get to be a martyr for a transaction that the other person never agreed to. Well, thanks, Usama, and thanks to those watching. We'll see you next time on Bits.